Welcome everybody to Keeping It Real Caregiving on Air. I like to say that caregiving is not for the weak of heart and getting old is not for sissies. But with those two elements, Keeping It Real Caregiving is here to try to help you navigate the often murky waters of caregiving, especially family caregiving. So for this debut episode of Keeping It Real Caregiving on Air, I would like to introduce you and welcome my guest, Bonita Green. She is also a family caregiver and has amazing insight as to what we go through. Bonita, welcome.
Hello, how are you?
Tell me a little bit about your journey in caregiving. Who did it involve and bring us up to date?
So when I first moved back to North Carolina to care for my mom, initially my sister Jacqueline was here. I was working a full-time job, and so there were days that I had to be on the road. And the days that I had to be on my road, my sister Jacqueline was here. And Mom, her faculties were good at the time. So there could be moments that she could be by herself as well at that time. But as time, went on, we lost my sister Jacqueline, and my mother's health started to deteriorate. So my other sister who lives in Durham, Brenda, and her husband William would come and be with my mom, especially if I had to work evenings, and they would stay with her because as time went on, she was really afraid to stay by herself in the house, and her dementia had started to increase, and we were a little afraid that she might wander off.
Tell me a little bit about your mother.
My mom, even as she got older, she used to tell us stories of when she was younger and she liked to fight. But even as she got older, she still had that fire in her when she was walking around, and she would like shake her cane at people. She was really feisty, and she could, her wit was incomparable. She could talk smack with the best of them.
So tell me your mother's name and how old was she when she passed, and when was that?
Her name was Hattie Green, Hattie Will Green, and she passed in 2019, November of 2019. She passed 5 days before my birthday, and we buried her 2 days after my birthday.
That is difficult. And how old was she?
She was 98 years old. She had lived a good long life, but her heart had started failing on her,
What would you say are the top 5 lessons you learned or pieces of advice that you could share to somebody else who is entering the world of family caregiving?
Well, number one would be to have patience, because they still have their pride about them. And they want to still feel viable. They still want to feel useful, even though, it may take them longer to do things. I think we have to make chores and things. Mom's was doing the dishes and cleaning the kitchen. So just have the patience to let her do what she wants to do in her own time. Number 2 was being observant. She would get a lot of urinary tract infections, I should say, and it would change her mood. And so I would keep track of that. And another thing was, the doctor had told me that indicated when she gets a puffiness up underneath her eyes, that there was fluid building in her body. So I'd pay attention to all of that, doing things that she wanted to do, and having conversations, just having meaningful moments. My niece actually started this, bought puzzles, the puzzles that have the large pieces. And we would just sit there and do puzzles together, and, just to help with the cognitive skills and helping her pay attention, and just trying to get her up and out and around to get a little bit of exercise, because exercise is vital and important to anyone at every point in life. And feeding her the food that she likes, especially towards the end. It's like, all of that other stuff doesn't really matter. Whatever she wants to eat, let her have it. Let those final days be enjoyable for her.
And what about for you as a caregiver?
Well, doing this type of work, you can lose your identity and lose who you are. You have to make time for yourself. You have to make spaces for yourself. You have to allow yourself time to be able to get out and do things and meet with friends. I actually created a spot on my front porch. It was my outdoor living space, and it gave me a little getaway. And mom was fine. She was in the living room, looking at TV. You have to allow time for yourself, and you have to ask for help. If you have other family members or relatives around, you have to ask. And sometimes you have to keep asking, but you have to ask for help.
Where are you now?
Well, now I'm at a point where I'm still dealing with, her items and her things. I'm at peace. I have like a little area that I set up with photos of my mom and photos of my dad. And that it really brings me a lot of peace because I know they're together now. But it's about, reestablishing my life and who I want to be, or who am I at this point in my life, and who I want to be and where I want to go, things that I want to do. That's kind of where I'm at right now.
Well, I'm going to go on a limb and say your mom is extremely proud of you right now. And I had the pleasure of meeting Miss Hattie, and she was feisty and fiery and very sharp-witted, and just a pleasure to be around. So thank you so much for taking the time to talk with our growing Keeping It Real caregiving family. And I'm hopeful that all of this will help other people as we move down this journey. So Bonita Green, thank you so much. Any closing thoughts?
No, thank you for doing what you're doing. I mean, I had many conversations about this role that we were kind of thrust into, but I think your advocacy work now, your next steps are going to help a lot of people. So thank you for doing what you're doing.
All right. Well, we are all in this together. That's one of the things I also say here with Keeping It Real Caregiving. Bonita, thank you so much. And thank all of you for joining us here on the first debut episode of Keeping It Real Caregiving on Air. There will be much more to come. Stay tuned. And thank you so much for joining us. And if you are a family caregiver, remember, you have to care for yourself as well. Thanks so much. I'm Julia Yarbough, and I will see you next time.